Yo, what is going on, guys? Got a story for you here today titled Husband Discovers His Wife's Secret Plan to Leave Him and Take Everything, but he gets his revenge instead. So, a lot of people tell me, women won't stay in marriages for years just to plan to try and take your possessions. And to that, I always laugh, okay? Because there are a lot of women who get into marriages, they get into long-term relationships with the specific plan to rob the man when they leave. A lot of people pretend like this doesn't exist. They say that marriage is fine, but a lot of men are getting completely scammed. So in this story, the husband discovers the plan ahead of time. Let's see exactly what he does about it. Now, guys, don't forget to like the video on your way in. Don't forget to subscribe if you are new here. And let's take a look at this story. So he says, I'm a 38-year-old man, and my wife at the time was 35. We were married for nearly a decade. What started as a committed partnership slowly turned into one of the most calculated betrayals I have ever seen. And fortunately for me, I caught it before it did real damage. He says, the marriage that looked perfect from the outside, we met in our late 20s and we got married 2 years later. This is always a concern I have for men, by the way, guys, because women will often do this crap where they will screw around with men, random men, rack up a whole bunch of dudes that they've hooked up with, okay? And then they realize they're running out of time, so they'll try and marry some guy who's a nice, good man when they're like 29, okay? The dude is getting the short end of the stick, guys. Like, if you're getting married when the woman's like 29, you've just gotten scammed, as far as I'm concerned. He says, we met in our late 20s, we got married 2 years later, and we built a comfortable life. I mean, he did, let's be honest. He said, I worked as a structural engineer for a large firm. It was well paying and it was consistent. Over time, I transitioned into project management and eventually handled multi-million-dollar developments, which brought in great income and plenty of flexibility. So this dude is doing all of the financial heavy lifting, I would say. Yeah, check this out. She was employed she was self-employed as an interior designer. So this dude is basically raking in all the money for them. She would take on residential projects here and there. She would offer virtual consultations and posted regularly about her work online. Her income was irregular, but I didn't mind. I covered most of the expenses, and she contributed occasionally. Yeah, so absolute classic, right? Woman marries a successful guy. Her career is struggling, inconsistent, and the dude looks after everything while she's rapidly approaching age 30. We had the house, we had the weekend trips, the polished image online. From the outside, people probably thought we were living the dream, but it wasn't all that. He says, the new behaviors did not add up. It started with the small changes. She suddenly became interested in legal and financial details of our life, asking about insurance policies, how my pension plan worked, and even bringing up whether my name was the only one on the deed to the house. So this woman probably already had this plan before she got married to you, just by the way. Now she's just trying to understand it. Maybe she had some friend, quote unquote, in her ear telling her she could leave him and take his money. Whatever the case may be, she's actively doing the real planning now, Then she started organizing, quote unquote, my files, which was strange because she never had touched my office in almost a decade. One day I came home and caught her browsing one of my older contract folders. She said she was just tidying up, but the explanation didn't feel right. She also began suggesting we put more things in both of our names just in case, and that's when it clicked. This was not concern for our future. She was laying groundwork for an exit. Exactly, right? So she's trying to make it look as though she has an active hand in your business so that she can have a claim to it. She's trying to put things in both of your names so that she can look like she's contributing financially and that you should be paying her out when the divorce actually happens. So these little things, guys, are her planning for the divorce. Her trying to weasel her way into robbing the guy when she decides to divorce him. He says, what happened was I quietly got in touch with a lawyer. We reviewed our prenup, which fortunately excluded my pension, my business assets, and the house I bought before we got married. I also restructured some finances and moved personal assets into protected accounts. I made sure that everything vulnerable was secured, passwords were changed, separate accounts were confirmed, and digital access was restricted. I didn't leave anything to chance. 2 months later, she told me that she wanted a divorce. She had said that she needed time to focus on herself and figure out who she really was. He said, I did not argue with it. She handed me the paperwork the very next morning. So she gave the classic generic BS excuse that women give guys about having to go on their journey and discover themselves or whatever. He says she assumed that I'd be blindsided. Her list of demands was ambitious: half the house, a share of my pension, monthly support payments, and reimbursement for lifestyle sacrifices. What she didn't know was that I had already prepared for this exact situation. My lawyer replied with documents, timelines, and legal proof of separation between marital and personal assets. Everything she thought she could grab was already locked away. Hilarious. So I wonder if this whole thing was her idea, or if like it was half her idea and then she had some womanist friend trying to convince her to do it, like, oh, you can do better, you can take his stuff. Because usually women have these like quote unquote friends who encourage them to make bad decisions. So that could also be playing a part here. Anyway, her confident tone disappeared almost instantly. She was clearly stunned when her lawyer told her how airtight the prenup was and how little she was actually entitled to. She tried switching tactics, claiming emotional damages, saying that she supported me emotionally throughout my career, but then text messages were introduced from her phone. Messages she sent to her sister and a male quote-unquote friend about how she was lining everything up to leave me and start fresh with a financial cushion. Once those surfaced, her credibility absolutely tanked. Okay, so emotional damages, what the hell is that? And then, of course, look at this. So she's talking to another male friend, aka the dude she had lined up for when she left this guy's ass, and the sister and was probably there encouraging her to make this decision. So it looks like it was the sister, I would assume. Anyway, she walked away with nothing beyond what she personally owned. No rights to my home, no rights to my pension, or any share in my projects. She even had to settle her own legal bills. Ooh. She reached out a few weeks later after the dust settled, not to apologize, but to tell me I'd changed and that I was cold for how I handled it. I didn't reply. The truth is, I was simply prepared. This woman's absolutely disgusting, man. So she leaves him, tries to take his resources, fails to do so, and then calls him cold, like she didn't just initiate a divorce for no reason because she wanted to go and hook up and have time with another guy. Absolutely ridiculous. We are going to be calling today's episode there. Don't forget to leave your thoughts and your comments. Make sure you guys take care of yourselves, and I'll be seeing you all in the next one. Peace.